Mr. Feynman wasn't joking. Chapter 4. Fragmented Accountability. The disintegration of responsibility. If inertia keeps the system moving and incentives steer it, fragmented accountability protects it from consequences. In older, simpler arrangements, responsibility was traceable. When a child did not learn, adults could usually identify where the breakdown occurred and respond directly. As the modern school system expanded, it multiplied decision-makers, veto points, and overlapping authorities until responsibility became difficult to locate and easy to evade. The result is a strange stability, widespread dissatisfaction, constant debate, endless reform, and remarkably little accountability when the outcomes stay poor. When everyone is responsible, no one is. Modern schooling involves a swarm of actors: federal agencies, state departments, legislatures, courts, school boards, district offices, principals, teachers, unions, universities, publishers, testing companies, consultants, and more. Each actor affects the child's education, but no single actor can be held clearly responsible for whether the child actually learns. When failure occurs, blame can be shifted, plausibly, down the chain or sideways across it. The more complex the system becomes, the easier it is for each participant to say, in effect, that part isn't mine. The multiplication of veto points. Any meaningful reform must pass through many layers of approval and implementation. Policy becomes regulation, regulation becomes district guidance, guidance becomes school procedures, procedures become classroom habits. At each layer, the reform can be delayed, diluted, reinterpreted, or quietly neutralized. Not necessarily through sabotage, often through ordinary friction, conflicting mandates, limited time, lack of training, political pressures, and the incentives described in Chapter 2. Reform dies 1,000 small deaths, each death small enough that no one feels responsible for the funeral. Contradictory mandates and plausible deniability. Fragmented accountability is strengthened by contradictions built into the system's demands. Schools are told to raise test scores without teaching to the test, increase graduation rates without lowering standards, implement new programs without increasing time or staffing, serve every need while controlling costs. When goals conflict, failure becomes structurally explainable. Each actor can point to the constraint that prevented success, and each explanation will contain truth. This creates a system in which failure is not only common, it is defensible. In the years leading up to the Parkland shooting, Broward County adopted promise and similar discipline reforms intended to reduce suspensions, expulsions, and arrests for student misconduct in the name of dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline. At the same time, schools were still officially responsible for keeping classrooms safe and reporting serious threats, leaving administrators and teachers caught between pressure to avoid exclusionary discipline and the need to remove dangerous students, until the system failed catastrophically in front of the whole country. Shortly afterward, California extended similar limits on suspensions for willful defiance in elementary and middle schools, celebrated as dismantling the pipeline, but leaving many teachers trapped between the mandate to keep exclusion numbers low and the daily reality of trying to teach in chronic, low-level chaos. Contradictory mandates handed down from uncoordinated layers of authority usually erode real learning, and, at times, they also put our children's safety at risk. The blame game economy. In a fragmented system, public arguments about schooling become predictable. Teachers blame administrators, administrators blame unions, unions blame politicians, politicians blame parents, parents blame everyone. This isn't merely social drama. It is the system's immune response. A system with clear accountability can be corrected. A system with distributed accountability can absorb criticism indefinitely, because criticism cannot attach to a single lever that must be pulled. Why this sustains the anti-conceptual core. Remember Feynman's silence, students who could recite but could not reason. The system can keep producing that outcome because the system is not held responsible for conceptual understanding as the central product. Instead, accountability attaches to proxies, compliance artifacts, seat time, graduation counts, and test score movements. When those proxies look acceptable or can be made to look acceptable, the system survives, regardless of what happens inside the student's mind. AI complicates accountability further. AI introduces a new kind of diffusion. It becomes harder to tell where thinking occurred. When a student submits fluent work, did the student build the ideas, or did the tool generate them? In a system already optimized for proxy metrics, AI increases the supply of polished proxies. That makes the accountability problem worse unless the institution deliberately changes what it demands as evidence of learning. A deliberate glimpse of hope. Shrink the chain. Restore responsibility. Fragmented accountability is not solved by adding more oversight. More oversight typically adds another layer, more entropy, while leaving the core diffusion intact. The practical antidote is to shrink the chain of responsibility and make learning legible again at the point of contact. Fewer layers between decision and classroom reality. Assessments that require explanation and transfer, not just output. Norms that treat honesty about understanding as a virtue, not a liability. This is why small, coherent, principle-driven educational environments can outperform massive systems. Responsibility can attach to real people making real decisions close to the learner. This has been true since the birth of the current system, but in the AI era, it becomes impossible to ignore. Big systems change by committee and policy cycle, while AI tools change by software update. Each new update makes it easier to fake learning, and the confusion between looking smart and being educated grows. Some of our Cambrian Academy graduates now in university face that pressure daily. Using AI to cheat has quietly become normal in many settings, which means their peers will walk away with the same credential while lacking the conceptual skill and genuine understanding that the university's name is supposed to certify. For students who have been trained in honesty and integrity, it becomes a line they refuse to cross, and over time it positions them to present something rarer than ever in an AI-saturated world: meaningful, defensible evidence of their own learning. In the next chapter, we turn from the system structure to its deepest educational habit, the anti-conceptual substitution itself, how performance replaces understanding, and why that substitution is so compatible with both bureaucracy and AI.